Up YouTube, and welcome to Travel Adventures with Eric B. I'm Eric B. And today we're going to talk about 12 things that you should know before you come to Miami, Florida. Let's go. Let's get the party started. The first thing you should know about Miami is that Miami is more than just South Beach. Now, you got Little Havana. You can go take a walking tour there and enjoy the Cuban food. You have Little Haiti, where you can enjoy the Haitian food in the Haitian community. There are all types of cigar shops in Little Havana where you can see them being made. You could go to Wynwood and see the beautiful art district and the art decos all over the city, the graffiti wall. You could go take a Biscayne Bay cruise. You can do amazing shopping all over. You can visit Coconut Grove. Miami is a lot more than just South Beach. Going along with number one. Number two is you definitely have to visit South Beach, especially if you've never been to Miami. It's an experience. You got Muscle Beach, where you can work out for free on the beach. You got the Art Deco district, which features all types of vibrant colors of hotels, buildings, mansions. You also just have that incredible vibe in Miami that you don't have everywhere else. You can just walk out on the beach and see the people jogging and see the people wearing very little clothes. Also on South Beach, I want you to keep in mind, if you're going to go to one of the restaurants on Ocean Drive, most of them have 20% GRAT included in it. So make sure to see if they're not charging the service charge before you tip. And also the 2-for-1 specials on the drinks and food and everything. Make sure you're checking those prices to make sure it's worth it, because most of it is really overpriced and they really look to get tourists. Also, going into what to expect when you come to Miami, you're going to see a lot of exotic cars. You're going to see the old classic exotic cars. They're going to make you stop and take pictures. You're also going to see the more modern exotic cars. People rent them out there. People drive Lamborghinis. You're going to see a lot of Rolls Royces. You're going to see things that you don't see in other places. The fourth thing that you should know is that the Miami Dolphin Stadium is in Miami Gardens, and that can be about a 45-minute drive depending on traffic from Miami, maybe even an hour from South Beach depending on traffic. So if you're going to go see a Dolphins game or go to support your team against the Dolphins, you're coming to town, just keep in mind when you're around all of the partying and good times in Miami, you're going to have a little drive. And if you're coming in, to be honest with you, Fort Lauderdale is actually a closer airport to Miami Gardens, to the Dolphin Stadium, than it is from Miami International. The fifth thing you should know is that Miami is a very international city. Now, first of all, there's a lot of Spanish spoken in Miami. You can walk through the mall within the city or within the area and not hear a lick of English. It's very possible to have Uber drivers that can't speak a lick of English. I've had it happen before. And also, it's a very international in terms of very transient American city. There are people that live in Miami area that are from all over the country. So don't expect a bunch of locals there. You may see some. The next thing you should know about Miami is you should know about the hotels. Hotels in Miami can be very expensive, and there's a lot of mid-range hotels like your Hiltons and Marriotts of the world. But even with those mid-range hotels to go along with the boutiques, the hotels in Miami can be very expensive. You will plan on spending at least I would say about $170 to $200 at minimum per night for a hotel in Miami, which you have the luxury hotels that are upwards of $700 a night. A recommendation for me is the North Miami Beach area if you want to stay along the beach and get a hotel at a decent price. The next thing you should know about Miami is you should know about the weather. You should know that it gets extremely hot if you go during summertime. If you go during the winter, it gets, I would say, pleasant a little bit. Good temperatures around 50, 60 degrees, but never cold. You should also know about hurricane season, because Miami is an impacted area. Hurricane season's between June and November each year, but usually the busiest months for hurricane season are August, September, and October. So make sure you keep an eye on that, because you will have storms in the area. Next thing you should know about Miami is that it's known for its nightlife. Now, the nightlife in Miami, the clubs and the parties and the celebrities and everything in Miami, a lot of times it tends to start late and open really late. Tends to have expensive cover charges, 40, 50, upwards, maybe even $100 to get in, $15 to $20 a drink, expensive bottle service and things like that, which you'll be overcharged for. So be very careful when you're enjoying the nightlife in Miami. If you're going to go out to a club and have a good time, be aware that things are probably very overpriced. Nice thing you should know about Miami is for my fellow cruisers. The cruise port is the largest cruise port in the entire world. Miami's port is absolutely massive. It's in a great location too because it's basically located right between downtown Miami and Miami Beach, South Beach, aka. But it's an extremely nice port, but it's a very large one. And if you're going to be taking one of the bigger, nicer, newer ships, no matter which cruise line you're taking, there's a good chance you're going to be coming out of Miami if you want to cruise the best of the best. So Miami has a lot of the top-notch cruises from all of the cruise lines. Huge port, but easy to navigate. The 10th thing you should know is your day trip options. One of the day trip options, which is not too far away, is Everglades National Park. One that's much further away, but is drivable, is Key West. To go all the way to Key West to the very southernmost point of the U.S., which is somewhere you really should go see if you're in the Miami area, but it is a pretty good drive. But Key Biscayne is a lot closer. It's only 15 minutes away. You can drive this. You could also make some day trips up to the north to Fort Lauderdale, to Boca Raton, and all areas, all the way up to Daytona Beach. Lots of beautiful beaches, lots of beautiful space all the way up, but there's tons of day trips you can take from Miami. The 11th thing you should know about Miami is the airports. Now, I'm going to discount some of the airports that aren't as far, like West Palm Beach, and we're going to talk about Fort Lauderdale and Miami. Oftentimes, the flights are cheaper from Fort Lauderdale, but you have to keep in mind you're going to pay more for Ubers if you're going to Miami Beach or you're going to downtown Miami or somewhere within the city. So it may work out to be cheaper just catching a flight to Miami. Now, if you're going to just go to a Dolphins game, it might be easier to get a hotel and book that flight to Fort Lauderdale because Miami Gardens is actually closer to Fort Lauderdale. But do keep these things in mind, give or take where you're staying at in terms of the flight as well. The last thing you should know is that the parking situation in Miami is not good. So we're going to talk about transportation and getting around. You certainly need to rent a car for the most part to get around the city. And parking is horrible. Most places are going to charge you to park. You're going to pay heavy amounts to park, especially if you're talking downtown and you're talking South Beach or going to the cruise port or anything like that. But I will say this, and a lot of people don't know this about Miami. Miami actually has a public system, a trolley that you can get around for free on, a public transportation system, as well as an above ground train. I haven't taken it, but believe it or not, there's a fair amount of metro stops on the train that you can take. And I'm going to put this on the screen for you to see this because this is a system that I haven't tried, but I definitely plan on trying in future trips to Miami because the parking situation is awful and you don't always have to rely on it. And that's all, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I ask that you please hit the like, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the bell notification so you can know when I have more material coming out. And as always, remember, live today, grow today, tomorrow's never guaranteed. Peace and Christmas. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please hit the like, share, subscribe button, leave any comments below. I love to interact and help us to continue to grow as a travel community.